Alright, we got our hoops tied in. We're getting ready in this last part of this video to tie the throats in, put the fingers on them. I've got the net set up. What I did, I just put the first 3 hooks on the other side of the 4th one. That way we could start right on the second throat, the catch throat. And I just temporarily tied a bridle here so we could actually work this throat out here. And that's going to give us more room than if we was to crawl up in the net or something like that. But I'll show you how we're going to get started tying this out. I'm going to put my main lines on. I've already tied one of them on over here. And I said I left 24 in this net loops. I've got 24 total loops. But I took up one right here, caught 2 of them on that side. I'm going to do the same thing over here. That's going to leave us 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom for this throat. So all I'm going to do here is just take our heavy line. This is like a number 48 braided line I'm going to use on this one. I'm going to pull it where I'm even on everything, and I'm just throwing me a hitch on this one right there, like so. And I'm going to pull that dude pretty tight. That's kind of what our throat's going to look like. It's going to be a pretty good looking throat. What I got here, told you some of what we got going on. We had 24 loops, so I took up one on this side and one on this side, so we'll have a total of 22. With these already be tying off, it leaves 20. That's 10 loops on top, 10 loops on bottom. So I went ahead and tied off one. We've got our main line here. This is, I think, a number 48, or it's a pretty good size line here. This is a braided line too, so it won't twist up. It also won't stretch. Like once we pull this net tight, nothing's gonna give or untwist as far as our tension lines going through our tail end. Got it pulled out this way so you can see what easy for me to work on, and you'll be able to see the throat of the flue here. These lines here, I went ahead and tied down there together, so they're actually pulled together at the same distance they're going to be pulled together at the end of the tail end down there when we tie it out. That way, I'm tying it out. This is exactly what the flue is going to look like when I turn it the right way in the net, pull it out the tail, and tie it off. So this is the easiest way I found to do these. I went ahead and tied this one off, just a hitch here. Come up here, put 3 to 4 hitches behind this knot. I may have said it already, but it's 5 knots for 5 loops right here. You got 5 meshes, so you're going to need 5 knots. So I went ahead and tied this one off. I like to tie these furthest ones first. Try to get this tension up here the same as our side tensions, or pretty close. I leave a little bit of slack in these lines so I can loosen off on this knot if I have to, or tighten up on it, either one. These I don't ever move, but I left a little slack in both of them, and I'll do that on all the rest of them too. But I'll start on this one right here showing you. It's just the same thing. Like I said, leave some slack on these right now. We'll come back and burn those ends off later. Start by getting your net knot tied on there, a little hitch. And I like to come over the top and under the bottom, just like the net's going to be. I'll come over here and I like to come back underneath where I'm pretty close to that knot right there. And make sure this line is untwisted. It's going to sit about like so. I'll untwist that knot a little bit. We're going to pull some tension on that. I'll grab that, kind of test these a little bit. Once we get our tension about where we think it's going to be, we'll throw a hitch right there. Come back, throw one more hitch. Like to at least put 3 hitches right here. Pull those down tight. Come in here and put another hitch right there. Once we put that hitch in, come back, catch our 5th one down here on the bottom. And you can take and just pinch that when you think you got the tension right. Kind of test everything a little bit. Right there. It's going to be about right. Tie your knot in there. As long as you keep that pinched, it'll hold that tension on that one there. For right now, that looks all right. We'll, like I said, leave a little bit of slack in case we have to adjust it. That's about what our flue is going to look like. We're going to catch this one. Just keep tying them out. We'll rotate. We'll tie this one in, come back and get this one. Get this one, then this one. That way we're constantly pulling tension on this all the way around this net. Kind of even like. When you go to tying these in, the more you tie in, the looser everything's going to get, because you had tension on 2 lines, now you got tension on a bunch of lines. So it's important when you go to tying these in to check your tension and keep your tension like the other ones are. You don't want to go to tightening this up to the original tension, or you'll kind of mess up. That way, when we put some slack in it, you go to testing it to make sure everything's going to be the same. As long as they're the same, you're going to be okay. When you go looking at this, you'll see this flue is tying down a little bit tighter than a lot of other flues that you'll look at is. But this net's going to catch, because when that fish comes in this first flue and gets to this one, he's going to kind of see an opening here. And this shows a lot of light, you know, through there. It looks like an opening, and it feels like an opening as he's coming up through there. And a flathead will rub this stuff. He'll push right through here, open this thing up. Once he gets through here, all this looks like a closed up. It's not an open door anymore to him, so it's going to catch him. It's not going to go back out. That's what we want. There it is right there. That's what you want to see. I'd tie this off a little bit tighter if I was going after channel cats, but I'm not after channel cats. We built this net 2.5-inch mesh. Obviously, we're not after channels, but big flatheads. That's what this net's built for. That's what it's going to catch. And it's going to be a good one. This throat's not tied off too tight, but just big enough. 30, 40, 50 pound flathead's gonna go right through there, no question about it. And it's gonna close off enough that he's gonna have trouble finding his way back out of there. So that's what we want right there. Good looking net, good looking throat. It's gonna catch. 9 meshes long to the tied out fingers, and then our fingers, they extend out about another 14 or 16 inches down to this last one here. 10 fingers on the top, 10 fingers on the bottom. That's just how it's going to sit in the net. I'll give y'all another look at it when we set it in the net. Kind of hard for y'all to see exactly the size on this, but You can see my fist here, so it's just a little bit bigger than my fist. A little bit bigger than a softball right there. I like a big grapefruit. It's just what you want. Alright, we tied a bridle on the front of the net here. Got it stretched out so we can get to everything. I've already tied in the catch throat, the second throat. Got it temporarily tied out back there just to keep it stretched out. And I've got the main lines on the front throat hitched already. They're hitched on the take up just like we talked about. I've got the 5 knots tied in them. That's just regular square knots to put our fingers on. And we're going to try to tie this one out on the sides back here. This net's a little bit longer. I built it longer. The only thing I don't like about tying them out on the sides like this is sometimes it's hard to dump the fish out of them. Now, if the net's longer and built longer, you'll have plenty of slack up here in this line when you fold the net up to dump your fish back out. I don't think it's going to be a problem, especially since I shortened this front flue up. It's shortened to 5 meshes. And tying it out the side like this, one advantage to that is it's going to open this front flue up wider. Those fish get in here, get to messing around, bump it, and they'll go on through that second flue. So we're going to try it on 5 mesh and see what it looks like. We've got it tied in pretty square with the catch throat back there. You can see our lines match up with them. I like to keep my lines straight and together. And we've got 10 meshes here on the bottom, 10 on the top. This net's going to be big enough we can get it inside of it, so I'm just going to get inside of this one and tie it out. Alright, I went ahead, tied this one on, got my knot, caught this one up here. I'll put a second hitch. I'm just going to go 3 hitches on these. Come down here, catch that one, pull a little bit of tension on it, get all 4 of these the same, tie our knot. Everything looks about the same. Burn it, leave me some slack for right this second. Go to tying the rest of them. Catch one here. Get that hitch tied. Second hitch. Maybe blocking the camera view on that. Third hitch. Down here. Catch that one. Remember what I said about this, we can always tighten our end rope up. All of these need to have the same tension. It's not about, because we pull this rope tighter, we're going to get, good tension on those. There again, this is the time consuming part. You want to make sure everything's right. All your knots are tight. Alright, we're down to the last one. We'll have to check them, make sure the tension's right on all of them again. But we're on the last one here. Looking pretty good. Like I told you on the other flue, we'll check the tension on everything, make sure we don't need to adjust none of these knots before we ever burn all these ends off. Over this one, back under it. 2 more hitches, total of 3. down here and get this one. That's the last knot on the whole net right there. Now if you start up here, as you're tying these, all of these knots or these strings will loosen up a little bit, so you'll want to start them a little bit tighter. Once you finish, they all should be about the same. As long as they're the same, we're good, because this net, when it gets in the current, you're going to pull tension on this. And the other thing, you know, this net is pulling out like this, so this hole here is not any kind of way going to close up. So, all right, I'm going to show you real quick on this one. I've already tied the other leader line for this front flue in. You can do this two ways. Now, you seen on one of the other nets, the one I redid, I tied through the back with the tail line. You can do it like that. It's easy to dump the fish out. A lot of people tie them like this now, and I tie some like this. I'm gonna tie this one this way because we're trying to catch these big flatheads, and I want that front flue opened up just enough that them big ones will come right on in there, get to messing around, and come on in. So, channel cat or blue cat net, I would probably tie it a little bit tighter than that. But this one's gonna catch some big flatheads and probably some buffalo. You wanna make sure when you set your flue up that, like right here, your leader line is coming through the right mesh. I just pulled this, I had this one in this mesh, I pulled it back out, run it through this one where it's not touching anything. And you also wanna make sure between where you tie this line and the other one on the other side that you're the same amount of meshes top and bottom. And I like to make sure I'm lined up with this second flue on those leads too. I've got just enough, get a shot back there of that flue when I go to pulling this tension. You can see right there I'm letting off on it. I've got the other side tight. Oakley's hitting the net, so it's hard for me to tell, but I want to pull this one just tight enough that I'm pulling tension from that other side just a little bit, but I don't want too much tension. I want the net to pull tight after the flue does. I want the flue to pull tight. So right there that you can see the net and the flue moving. You can see the flue pulls tight right before the net pulls tight. And that's what I want. Right there's how I'm going to set this. And once I get it set where I want, I've got one wrap. And come back around and just put a hitch right there in that wrap. Holding it exactly where I had it set at. And then I like to put one over that line and one below it. So I'll make sure once this is dipped, this isn't sliding back and forth. Put my second hitch. I like to pull it back to that first hitch. And then I'll do like one more on the top, and I'll put all the rest of them on the bottom. That ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna put one more and be done. Now, you can burn this, mushroom it flat, leave it cut and let the dip do the work, or you can put a knot in it like that right there. As long as that knot's pushed up against pretty good, it won't hardly catch this netting and stuff. And I'm gonna burn that off out here a little ways, leave just a little extra in case if something ever happens I ever have to untie that and redo it. All right, front flue is set. Gonna set the back flue real quick, tie it in. That's gonna be a wrap. All right, you can see right here I got a knot right here. Well, I've got this tied out for my tail line. that I can tie on to. I pulled my leader lines for my fingers on the second flue through back here, and what I did, I just went through this hole in this rope right here, and I was able to pull my tension back, put me 2 hitches in here, locked it in place, and all I'm doing is kind of gauging and setting that flue. Now I'm gonna back tie this slack out of this net right here. You can take a lot of slack out of your net tying back over this, and that's what I'll do. I'll tie it back to about right here. But you can look right there and see, get a shot of that flue and the net, and you'll see the flue tighten up just before the net does. The flue's tight right there, and then you can see the net tightening on up. The flue tightens up just barely ahead of the net right there. I'm gonna just keep using these tail leader strings right here to start tying hitches. I don't want to bunch back behind this knot right here, so I'll go ahead and start working my way back up. It'll also help that these knots back here be a little more streamlined, so that this netting's not like hanging up on them and stuff. Just keep tying hitches. And you can gauge how much slack's back here. That's gonna pretty much control how far I go with these hitches. No certain distance you gotta go. Just use that to take your slack out, and that's it. I will say it's a pretty good idea. You got these knots here to go right past those knots. If you do that, that knot will lock down in there tight, real good. And I tell y'all, that's pretty good right there. I'm gonna stop it right there. So you can do a couple things. Like I said, you can burn it, mushroom it, or you can tie a knot right there, push it up real tight, like so, and then mushroom it, which is what I think I'll do. Get my fingers out from under it. Kind of round that off where netting won't catch on it. That's a wrap. Alright, that's it right there. Front flue. Pretty good look at it right there. Good look at the second flue back there. There's your look at the second flue. Looks good. Well, we got finished with it. I'm pretty proud of the way it turned out. We just got to dip it left and get it in the water, and it's missing some fish right now. We're gonna get some fish in it, but I think it's gonna catch. I think I was pretty descriptive on what I did on it. Not saying I did everything perfect, but it's the way I was taught. A lot easier way to cut one out, sew it together, and that's what we're gonna do in the next video. But as far as this one, you know, if you hadn't ever done one, I'd actually recommend doing it like this. It may take you a few days, but you'll learn a lot knitting a net out like this. And then it'll make it way easier to build any other nets. Y'all be sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel. Set the bell to all, and you'll get all the notifications just when we put new videos up. It's going to be about 2 videos a week this year. Maybe 3 some weeks, depending on how much content we get. And like and comment on our videos too, because that helps our algorithms out. It puts our videos out there, gives more impressions out to other people that had never seen this kind of stuff. So that's what it's about, sharing knowledge. That's going to be it for this one. God's Country Hunting and Fishing, keeping it real.